so basically, this is for Water Quality Association. Joel Waterman, because he works for the water company. Actually, it's the Water Quality Association. Their members are people who work in these smaller companies, usually that install and service water softening equipment. Okay, they also sell that equipment. So when Joel logs in, he gets onto his learning path automatically assigned key things that they call certificates, although that's completely flexible what you call them. Okay, so water quality basics, water quality fundamentals that everybody does, and then he's going to become a sales representative, so he's got the sales representative track. If it was somebody who's going to be an installer, they would get the installer track, that kind of thing. So if you take a look at, let's say you touch this on your phone, the fundamentals, it expands out, okay, and it's made up of these badges, which is represented by or these main areas that you need to learn: water treatment, hydraulics, ethics, disinfection, water analysis, all represented by badges. So now each one of these, so the way it works is it's kind of hierarchical. So the fundamentals is made up of these badges, and let's take water treatment. If I touch that, it expands out, and it's made up of these learning activities. And the learning activities can be of different types. So this kind, for example, is actually an eLearning course. It can launch a storyline course directly, or we can work with an LMS to do that. And then these, for example, here are kind of, that means there's multiple steps that are can be experiential and other types of steps. So for example, so I might take a course, usually we do short courses like in storyline on softener capacity. And then, but then I actually have to calculate softener capacity in the real world in order to get credit for this whole thing. So it's not just a course. I got to actually demonstrate and try to do it in the real world. Okay. So now and I'll show you examples of that. So here, he's already completed all this stuff. So he's got the check marks. He's good. He's going to go back. I'm going to do one that he hasn't done already, which is sales representative one. And he's got only one badge on there. Okay. It's like grayed out. So that means it's not completed yet. And diagnosing water problems. There's 3 learning activities. There's a self-assessment, which he did. Now he's got to have a conversation with the customer and then perform a water test.
Okay.
All right. So you see how it's kind of like made up. It's kind of cascades down. So then I'm going to do the initial conversation with the customer, and basically there's an authoring component to track. So the instructional designer, whoever's writing this, can put in whatever instructions they want. So schedule the call with the customer, meet with the customer. So it's real world tasks, right, on the job. Get permission to record the conversation, record it, and post the results. And then they could put in little questions like reflection questions or things to get the information that, again, to think about the right things. So for example, what was the customer's complaint? Water is hard. What symptoms have been identified? Say scale of this in the tub. I scroll down. You can do yes no questions. You can check. You can add in multiple choice, all kinds of check marks, all kinds of questions, and that's all up to the instructional designer. So have you conducted this test? Yes or no? Okay, and then this is what's really cool about Track 2 is that it uses the sensors of the mobile device to capture the real world stuff. Because that's the thing, it's like, okay, it's easy to track stuff that when you're doing an e-learning because it's all on the computer, but what about the real world? And that's where we use a phone to capture that. So you can, for example, use the GPS to check in. Okay, I was actually here at this site. So it says, so I know, because I'm going to submit this to my coach. Okay, I was actually there. I didn't just make this up, And then you might upload a file. It could be a video, it can be a photo, an audio file. And so in this case, it's going to be an audio file because you said to record it, this recording. So I touch that, and that brings up my phone's audio recorder, the Android recorder, and then I record the conversation, and then it uploads it into Trek. There it is. Now I can submit that to my coach for feedback. So I go submit, and now we say we submitted, waiting for the coach's approval. Okay, so that sent the email to the coach saying you got some feedback to give, and the coach can be anywhere in the world. That's the other thing, is the coach doesn't have to be next to you. The coach can be anywhere, and and could be on the road, whatever. And then when they get a chance, they can listen to it and then give feedback. So I just went back. Meanwhile, I'm waiting for him to give me my feedback on this. And notice though, I did that, but I didn't get a check mark because I didn't get the coach's approval that I did it well enough, right? So you can set it up. It doesn't have to be that way. Sometimes you can make it so just by doing it, you get the check mark. So that's up to the author, basically. designer. But meanwhile, we built it. Since it's in the real world, it's not, you're not forced into a sequence, because sometimes, we might, while you're doing that, I can do the water test. It might be the same visit, actually. It says perform the water test, okay? And then before I do that, okay, this is the idea of the on-demand content. So instead of learning about water tests, 6 months before and forgetting about it, right at that moment, I can click and I go to a knowledge base that gives information on water tests and how you do them. Okay, so this is a separate, and the other thing is that the knowledge base is separate. This is the on-demand content piece that we talked about, right? It's separate from Trek. Trek doesn't. This is actually not part of Trek. It's a separate knowledge base that, and we can link to, the web, intranet site, knowledge base, whatever it is that's within the company. So the real world stuff that they use, we link to it, but at the moment of need, at that teachable moment. Okay, so that's when it's relevant. That's when you're going to be motivated to use it, because you need it right then. Or right, let's say you wouldn't maybe not do it in front of the customer, maybe on the way to that, customer, you review it or you take a look at it, that kind of thing. Okay, so I've done that. Now I'm going to conduct the test. And so here's the instructions: collect the water sample, conduct the test, record the results, upload the photo because it's a visual test, and record the test results and interpret them. And I'm still not sure how to do it. Here's a link to a quick link to a YouTube video on how to test water hardness. So you can go to YouTube or go to a proprietary video, whatever. But again, that on-demand content is right there when they need it. That's a key part of what Trek makes Trek great. But Trek, and it uses whatever content the client needs or has already. And then there's a couple things. So he's going to do the test. Here's some, what's your answer? What did you find? Hardness of 9 ppm. What treatment do you recommend? Install a water softener. Again, we checked in. Here it is. And again, you can upload the video, photo, whatever. In this case, it's a photo. So I touch the photo. There it is. I use the camera from the phone, take the picture. It's pink, whatever that means. And then that's uploaded, and then that gets submitted to the coach for feedback. Okay. So now the coach can give feedback on that. There we go. So now I'm going to log in as the coach. All right. So now the coach got an email saying you got some feedback to give. It also goes up on there. It's on their dashboard too. So Coach Frank logs in. He's Coach Frank because he gives Frank feedback, of course. And so he is on his dashboard. One thing is that the coach can also be a learner. You can have both roles, because let's say you're a manager, maybe you're also doing a management training course for yourself and coaching someone else. So you can have both roles. So he does have something on his learner path, but we're going to focus on his updates that he got. He's got some learning activities to review. So if I touch that, okay, I have two coaches, John and Joel, and the two that we just did were the two from Joel: conduct a water test, conduct the initial interview, discussion with the client. So if I do that initial conversation, here's the audio. Remember, I can play that audio and listen to it. Here's the guidance, or that performance support or guidance for the coach. Okay, so the coach, you can provide the coach with saying, okay, what are the things you should be listening for? What are the things you want to get there? And then, you could say good job or need some work. Okay, say good job. And then the other thing is what we have is called an observation. Again, this is all created by the instructional designer within the authoring tool of Trek. So this is an observation, and you can put in checklist questions. Have they asked open-ended questions? Follow it up, and then the coach can answer those. And actually, the same types of questions, you could have the learner do their own self-assessment if they want. And then you want them to do, the idea is to make everybody a really good coach, right? So let's say, first thing, help structure for the coach to say, okay, tell them what they did well first, okay? And then tell them what could be done better, right? And then maybe you want to do a rating of how they're doing, and they could see how they've improved over time, okay? So you can do the Likert scale rating kind of thing, and some general comments. Good first interview, you just need to work on the follow-up questions next time. And then, okay, so good. So we did that. I'm going to submit. Now the coach is going to submit, and the coach can submit back with photos or audio file or whatever it is too. So let's say if it was a photo, we might want to mark it up or something and then upload that photo with the markups on it or something. Okay. So lastly, I'm just going to go back to Joel, and because he got notification, sign in, and on his dashboard, what happens on the dashboard is that he first he will conduct the initial conversation. Okay, so I'm sorry. This is first. He sees always what he's just completed. That's what he just completed. That's why he's got a check mark. This is his dashboard, and it also says what's up next. What's the next thing I should be doing?
Okay.
It's there. Okay.
So it kind of keeps him on task.
Yeah, exactly. And then any updates, what badges you've gotten, and oh, we got feedback. So let's touch that. There's the 2 pieces of feedback we just did, right? And there's the initial conversation. Yeah, I just got the last page of it. Good interview. You just need to work on the follow-up question. So we got that feedback, and let's say he did it well. Coach said you got it. Then then I would get the badge, and let's say I go to my badge on the menu, for example. There it is, diagnosing water problems. And the cool thing about the badge is that if you click on it, you can see the evidence of what you've done. And so it's really authenticated, and it's authentic in the sense that it's not just because I took a course, but here's, anybody wants to look at it, yeah, he really does know what he's doing. Just look, here's the evidence of it. So it makes the badges very meaningful.